All right, so I've been talking for the past 5 minutes and I didn't notice I forgot to click the go live button on my stream. I had set it up um, as a scheduled stream, and so I was talking and talking and talking for the last 5 minutes, and I then looked and said, "Oh, it says go live." So I'm now live. So let me start over. Welcome to subscriber Q&A. Today, I want to talk about adaptive sewing for loved ones who need help getting dressed or have mobility issues or sore shoulders or maybe in a wheelchair or, a variety of different things. And one of my sewing friends asked me this question, so I'm doing it as a subscriber Q&A. Also, it's a topic that's near and dear to my heart because my mom has Parkinson's and Alzheimer's diseases, and they're very debilitating, and she needs help getting dressed, and she needs help with her buttons and, different things. So I'm going to give you some tips if you're sewing for someone with these issues. And before I get started, though, I am excited to share with you that I'm teaching a Bias 102 class for pattern review tomorrow. I think it's from 3 to 4:30. It's just a short class, and I'm going to be debuting Bias Silk Charmeuse. So I'll be cutting out and sewing my my Bias dress. And if you want to just see quickly, here it is in linen. I sewed this together during FabFit Friday last week. It has one seam that starts at the neckline here, and then it literally wraps around to the hem almost at center back. Can't see the hem, but basically I'm going to cut this dress out of Silk Charmeuse so I can show the difference between a variety of fabrics. I also cut a top of that design out of a Japanese cotton that's a little bit more heavy duty than linen. So I want to have a variety of things to share. So I will be doing that tomorrow. But the reason why I'm telling you that now is because I washed my Silk Charmeuse and I got such amazing results. So I want to show you what I washed it with. And then I want to show you how it looks now that it's dried. And I air dried it over I hung it over my big floor mirror in the back of my studio, and I put the fan on it so it would dry quickly. But I just want to show you how nice it came out. Okay, so let me move all this other stuff out of the way for a hot second here. Okay, so look at how pretty this came out. This is 19 millimeter Silk Charmeuse that I got from Metro Textiles, and you can see that it has retained its beautiful shiny surface. And I was a little worried about it because I've washed silk in the past and it's gotten a very sand washed look, and in this case it didn't happen. I think once this is pressed, it's going to look as beautiful as it did before I washed it. And I wanted to show you what I washed it in. I thought I would try this Trader Joe's cleansing and conditioning hair wash. It's gentle and it's moisturizing. I wasn't sure about the moisturizing part, but it doesn't have sulfates, silicones, detergent, paraben free, non-foaming, and it has a lovely grapefruit and mint scent. So this is what I used instead of detergent, and I want to say that it will be forever my silk wash because look how nice that came out. So basically, super excited about my wash silk, and it doesn't look like wash silk, which was the whole idea, right? It looks like beautiful Silk Charmeuse right out of the fabric store. So super excited about that. All right, so now I want to talk about adaptive sewing, and if you are looking for patterns that can help you right out of the gate, so you don't have to do a lot of adjusting. I went over to Mood Fabrics website, and they have some patterns that are adaptive, and also some of them are free. So definitely head over to moodfabric.com and check out their pattern section, and then just look for the adaptive adaptive section. They have pants, dresses, lingerie, tops. So just because someone needs something that's adaptive doesn't mean it can't also be fashionable, right? So definitely head over to Mood to check that out. And then I just want to talk about a few quick pattern adjustments for tops that you may want to try. And if you get my newsletter, I actually did a tutorial in my August newsletter showing how to create a keyhole opening in the back of a neckline to make it easier to get over your head. So that's the first thing I want to talk about, is that a lot of times when you're sewing for someone who has trouble getting things on and off, making sure that your neckline is open enough to slip over your head, or if you opt for something like this is my shirt jacket pattern, and the thing about this that would make it very nice for adaptive sewing is the fact that it's got a open front, it's got an oversized drop shoulder with a generous sleeve, and there is a cuff here. You can eliminate the cuff and just make a band, or make it a short sleeve, or make it a 3/4 length sleeve, whatever you wanted to do here. But some of the things that are very helpful for adaptive sewing is being able to get it on and off easily. So front openings, or even if it were a quarter zip where it had a long, maybe a quarter zipper or a placket, just to make it a bigger opening to get over your head. Or, like I said, this, you don't have to go over your head, and the armholes are extremely generous on this shirt. Let me just show you. So see how large the armholes are, right? So that's going to make it easier to get on and off. So the first thing we wanted to talk about is larger necklines to get them on and off. And if you have something in your closet that needs to be altered, you can very easily make a keyhole opening in the back by making a continuous placket. And I finished it with a tie, but you could finish it with a snap or a button or Velcro, anything to make it easy to open and close. You can do that as well. And if you are subscribed to my newsletter, like I said, that was in the August, I think it was in whatever my last newsletter was. I think it was August. I did a step-by-step tutorial with pictures in there for that technique. And simply, it's just a matter of cutting a slit in the center back seam, and then you can finish it with the continuous placket, and again, either make a tie or a snap or something. And I'm going to show you some alternatives to closures in a minute here. So the next thing I want to talk about is, if you're working with tops, sometimes if someone is hunched over or if they're bent over, that's another thing that can happen. You might want to extend the center back seam so you can do a high round back adjustment to make things fit. So the first thing you can do is you can look and see how garments are fitting the person you're sewing for, so you can see the things that need to be fixed. So on a top, a high round back, and also elongating the elongating the armholes is something that can be super helpful. Hey RT Blades, it's you and me. Well, you're the first person to chime in and say you're here, so thank you, thank you. I mean, I see there's other people watching, but I know this is sort of a niche topic, so if you don't know anyone who needs help making their clothes easier to put on and off, this isn't a super exciting topic, but like I said, I am answering somebody's question, one of my subscribers. So I originally showed, let me just show you really quick, this is my silk charmeuse I got from Metro Textiles, and I washed it, and look at how it looks brand new still. Like, it looks like I haven't washed it. I used this Trader Joe's cleansing and conditioning hair wash And the reason why I used it is because it doesn't have sulfates, silicone, detergent, paraben free, and it's non-foaming. So this did a really nice job washing my silk charmeuse. So now I know I can wear this garment fearlessly and then be able to wash it if I need to. So that was the first thing I shared today. Hey Pat, welcome. I'm talking about adaptive sewing, and the first thing I was talking about was making sure your neckline is big enough to get over your head, or possibly working with a open, like a button down type style shirt, so you don't even have to put it over the head. You can slip it on. And to make things even easier, you can make your necklines larger by creating a keyhole opening in the center back. RT Blades is asking me, did you use that instead of detergent? Yes, I squirted about a teaspoon of this into my sink in my bathroom. I filled it up with lukewarm water, and then I soaked the silk, and it came out beautiful. So I'm really excited. I was so worried it would come out sand washed looking like I've had in the past, but I just used regular detergent in the past. This worked really, really nicely. Oh, hey Tana, your sister used to sew for charity that revised ready-made for injured soldiers. Oh, that is so nice. There's such a need for this, and there's so many different situations where, making things easier to get on and off is going to be super helpful. So I just want to remind everybody, I know I've done this in the past, but if you notice that the person you're sewing for has a curvature of the spine and it's making the necklines not, sit up at the base of the neck, or it's making the hems pull up at the center back, lengthening the center back seam before you sew something can really make things hang nicer. Let me just see here. Francis says, hi there. I use silk charmeuse for lining coats. It's not great fun to cut or sew. I know. I'm going to be cutting that out when I get off this live stream. I'm going to make it. I'm going to make a silk charmeuse version of my linen dress that I sewed up on FabFit Friday. So I'm very excited about that. So I'll share it with you on Friday during FabFit Friday, but really it's for, I'm teaching Bias 102 for pattern review tomorrow at 3 o'clock for a Zoom class. So if you want to see it before Friday, you can join me for that class. It's going to be lots of fun. Okay. All right. So getting back to this, I'm just going to show you quickly to remind everybody to do a high round back. What you do is, I'm just going to cut off this extra paper because I'm going to have to make a hinge anyway. You draw yourself guidelines from the center back to the armhole, and you can do several of them. And if someone is really bent over, you can do quite a bit of spreading here to create a nice curve for their back. And basically all you're going to do is slice through the center back, and you're going to make a pivot at the armhole. And what this is going to do is it's actually going to lengthen the center back seam, but it's also going to create a curve in the center back seam. And what that's going to do is really allow things to hang so much nicer. And you can see here, I can just fan this right out. I'm going to put this paper under here, and I'm just going to fan it out. Okay, so, and depending on how much you need to add, this would make a lot of useful length and shape for somebody who has a bent over posture or a high round curve to their back. And then they won't have their hem picking up, so it'll look nicer on them too, right? So this is something very simple that you can do to your pattern pieces before you sew. And I have a bathrobe pattern that I made for my mom, and it actually has a high round back built right into it already. So something like this is going to allow this high back area to conform to a curvature of a spine. So this is something that you can do that will help it be more comfortable. If in the front, here's a front. Okay, so if you've got a front and the neckline is too small, your choices are, you can, where's my, let me get this. All right, so I'm just gonna let me just erase this. So another thing you can do is, let's pretend this is a back neckline, right? And I actually did this to my mom, so I'm just reminding everybody, if you look at my newsletter, you can see the tutorial for this. I cut a slit in the center back. I opened it up. So basically I did this to it, like I stretched it out, and I sewed a piece of bias fabric to it, and I wrapped the edge to make a continuous placket so it became an opening, and then I tied it with a bow. That would make it so much easier to get on and off too. And if you want the steps for this, just go check out my newsletter. If you don't get my newsletter, all you have to do is go to my website and click view past campaigns and just click on the last one, the top one on the list, and you'll see that tutorial there. Okay, so Pat wants to know about pressing tips for your silk fabric. Does it water stain? I don't know. I will tell you on Friday because I haven't tried to press it yet, but I am gonna play with a scrap to see what happens when I press it and if it does water stain. I'm hoping it won't now that I washed it, but we'll see. And RT Blade says that's so wonderful. Thank you, thank you. All right, so that's something you can do, make a neckline bigger. You can also scoop out your neckline. So if you have your front and back, let's say, so I'm just gonna fold back this shoulder and I'm gonna stick it here. Okay, so if it's a situation where you know, you just need more room to get your head through and you haven't sewn yet, you can also just make a bigger neckline. So you can decide how much lower you want to go in the front, and then you can dash in a new shape. I don't know if you're going to want to go farther from the actual neck, so it may be the situation where you just, you know, come in like this, and then you can dip down in the back a little bit as well to make a bigger opening for your head. That's another thing that you can do to make things easier to get on and off. You can also transform a pullover into a button-up by adding an allowance here. You know, so you would add, like, let's say you would add a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and then you could put, well, actually, you're going to want to add an overlap so you can button it. So let's say we're going to add a 1/2 or a 3/4 inch or to an inch overlap like this to put your buttons, and then you would need a seam allowance. I'll dash that in. Okay, so that's your seam allowance right here. And then you would need a facing to sew it to, and then you're creating a cardigan or a button-up from a pull-over pattern. You can do that as well, you know, and then you can make your closure here. So I want to talk about some closure options instead of buttons, because buttons can be very difficult. I remember when my mom was just starting with her Alzheimer, Parkinson's, about 5 years ago. That was the first thing. It became very hard for her to button her buttons. So something you can do instead is you can install snaps. And I put some Amazon links in the description below for the things I'm going to talk about. You can get these little kits that come with all the different snaps and the instructions. So you can put in a snap, which will be so much nicer than a button. And let me tell you something else. I found on Amazon magnetic snaps, and they have little silicone, they're set into little PVC squares, and you sew the magnetic snaps onto the fabric, and then they just magnetically open and shut. So for someone who really cannot deal with buttons or snaps, I have a link for those in the description below. Or you can get a kit to put in snaps. I like this kit because it comes with all of the different little pieces you need to install your snaps. All you need in addition to this is a hammer. So there is a link to getting a little kit like this, and then you'll have the snaps. Or I'm gonna actually order the magnetic snaps that I have in the description below, because I think those could be very cool to help open and shut things for my mom. So I'm gonna be ordering those. So that's one option. Another option is you can do Velcro. I found a set of 13 different colored 1-inch wide Velcro. It's very soft. It's sew on. That's in the description below as well. You can either make, you can cut it in half and make it a 1/2 inch. Like here's a 1/2 inch right here. And you can run it down the length of the placket, or you can cut little, like make little button size pieces, right? And you can actually just sew them on as if they were buttons onto your button down shirts. So that's another thing that you can do to make things easier to get on and off. I like the idea of having the 13 different color Velcros though. That was kind of cool. So if you think Velcro will make it easier for people, you know, having different colors to match your fabric is a good idea. So that's another option. And the other thing I want to show you in tops is if you're working with someone who has a sore shoulder and just it's very hard to get their arms in the armholes, another thing you can do is drop your armhole and make it a little bit bigger. So if you put your two pieces together like this, you can actually just scoop out the base. Okay, so I'm going to just scoop this out just to give myself a little bit more room, because if you have to pull the person's arm behind them to get the sleeve on, having a little bit bigger of an opening is going to make it easier to fit. So I'm going to cut this out, and then what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to adjust the sleeve. So I'm going to cut that out, and I'm going to cut this out. So now it's a little bit bigger because we've lengthened the armhole. Now we lengthened it. Okay, so that means when we add ease to the sleeve, we're going to add ease to we're going to make the cap higher. We're not going to make it wider. We're going to make the cap higher because we made the armhole taller. So about by a 1/2 inch, but we're going to check it to make sure. So what I'm going to do here is I've got my sleeve, and I don't know why for some reason this never prints. I have to fix this. Okay, so there's my sleeve. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it out so I can walk it. Let me just cut this out. All right. I'll put the link to the Mood Fabrics adaptive patterns when I get off. I forgot to put those there, but they did have quite a few. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to walk this. So here's my back. I'm going to start right here, and I'm literally going to use my seam ripper just to walk it around, and we'll see how much we have to add. Oh, also, let me mark my seam allowance here, because we don't want to include the seam allowance, right? All right, so here's where my back stops. And now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do my front. All right, so again, I'm just going to walk it. And we're just going to walk, walk, walk. Let me just put my seam allowance here. Okay, so you can see that this front, okay, so the back ended right here and the front ended way over here. That means I have about, I would say, 1.25 inches. Yeah, 1.25 inches of negative space, meaning I need to add 1.25 inches to make this cap equal the armhole I did. Now this is a knit sleeve, so there was no ease to begin with. If I wanted to add some ease to it, I could make it even a little bit bigger. But basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut my pattern off right above the notches. And I'm going to put a piece of paper in here. I know I already showed how to do this, but I'm just reminding you, because we dug the armhole deeper, we definitely need to add length. And then I'm going to measure, here first I'll draw my original edge here so you can see it. Like this. And I'm going to add the 5/8 that I need, which is really, it's really agreeing with how much I scooped the base of the armhole. Okay, that kind of correlates to what I did here. And then you're going to put this back, and then we'll true it up. That's a lot to spread this tiny little pattern, so the truing up is going to be a little bit of a nightmare, but on a full-size pattern, it wouldn't be that bad. But basically, I'm going to add a little, and I'm going to skim a little like this. Add a little, skim a little. So there's our new sleeve that's going to coordinate with the longer armhole. So that's what I would do for tops. Those are the things that I would concentrate on. I would concentrate on bigger necklines, deeper armholes, and adjusting the sleeve to match. Also, if the sleeve is not roomy enough, that could also be difficult. So at this point, let's say this sleeve also felt like it was a little bit tight in general. I think I would just slash right up the middle like this. You know, I could spread it, okay, and then I could trim some off here. Like, I'm just trying to do easy adjustments here. Let me just put some paper in here. So if I put paper here, so see, I can make the sleeve a little bit roomier just by doing this. No fuss, no muss. So let's open it up that much, let's say. So I'm giving myself a little ease down the entire sleeve, but if the wrist edge starts to get a little bit too wide, you can then go back and just trim some off of the bottom like this. So you're taking it in at the bottom where you don't need the width, but you're leaving it in up higher. So that's something else you can do. You know, something like that. So you've added some room, and then if the wrist edge gets to be too long, you can just take it in down there. So that's what I would do for tops. Now for pants, I think pants, it's more of an issue of just comfort. So do elastic pants. Now if you have somebody who has, you know, they have a defined waist and they're not bouncing up and down weight-wise, and if their weight is not an issue, this is Cut and Sew knit elastic. I put a link to this to my website. This is soft and flexible. It's not going to bind. It's not going to be too firm. So an elastic waist pant is a nice option. If you have somebody who has weight change or who's losing weight and the elastic becomes too loose, this is a really nice elastic to work with. This is knit elastic, but it has a built-in drawstring, and I put a link. I put a link to the to this as well on Amazon. But the cool thing about this is if you put this into an elastic pant and then the person you're sewing for loses weight, what you do is if you use this elastic, you just dig out the cord here. You'll see it's got a very nice drawstring built right into the elastic, so you can actually once you've got it in, make a hole in the front waistband and pull out the drawstring, and then you can tighten it up so it doesn't fall down. So this drawstring elastic is a really nice thing to work with. And again, I put the link to that in the description below as well. Tana says, for injured soldiers, they Velcroed side and or shoulder seams. That's a really good idea. Closing your seams with Velcro so you can just slip it on and shut it is a really, really good idea. That's an excellent idea. I hadn't thought of that, Tana. So I can keep that in my toolbox for later maybe. But basically, the other thing you want to consider is, those are all my closure ideas to make it easier. I'm really fascinated by those magnetic snaps, though. I'm kind of irritated with myself that I didn't find them before today and order them so I'd have them. So I will be ordering those, and I'll share those with you during a FabFit Friday or something later. But the fabric that you choose is also important. So you want to pick soft, comfortable, natural fibers that don't irritate, things that aren't itchy, things that are soft and flexible. Crepe fabric is always your friend because crepe is woven with twisted yarns, and so it hangs and it falls nice. It doesn't cling. So those are, crepe is a nice fabric. You know, soft cottons, cotton jersey, things that are knit are very nice. Any kind of natural fiber knits are nice for adaptive sewing because they stretch and they move. So, you know, pick comfortable fabrics to work with as well, because if it's not a comfortable fabric, even if it fits and looks nice, it's not going to feel nice. So those are the things that I thought of, and those are the things I've been doing to my mom's clothes. I've been cutting keyhole openings in the back of her necklines. I've been adding Velcro closures. I've been deepening her armholes. I've been changing the elastic in her pants for this drawstring elastic. Oh, let's see. Oh, hi, Amy. Amy says, such a great topic. Thank you. Oh, you're so welcome. And Baker Wannabe says, elastic with cord is an awesome idea. Also snaps that go down the leg. Oh, that's another. Yes, you can snap. You can put snaps down the side seam of a leg too to make it easier to get them in on and off. That's another good idea. Yep. Yeah, so those are just things, you know, I'm really, this elastic with a drawstring has been a lifesaver for my mom because, you know, she's losing weight, and so I fix a pair of pants, and then the next time I come, like, you know, maybe not the next time because I go there twice a week, but a month later they're sliding down again. Well, if you have the drawstring, you can, you know, you can tighten it back up. And for my mom, and this is going to sound silly, but I put the drawstring opening in the back because she likes to fiddle with stuff and she can untie it if it's in the front. But if it's in the back, she can, her health aide can help her tie it and then it stays tied. So it depends on where you are with this as well. So if it's someone who can, you know, dress themselves and they can, you know, they can tighten their own cord, that's fine. But if it's someone who needs help getting dressed and they don't, you know, they don't do things by themselves, putting the drawstring in the center back or even the side would be better, because then it won't come undone as easy. So that's been a lifesaver for me. And you know, I'm just trying to think. I think I really like the idea of Velcroing the shoulders. So Tana gets a gold star, and I really like the idea of the buttons going down or the snaps going down the side seam of pants is also a good idea. Um, so I thank you guys for joining me. And I'm running out of things to talk about, so I think I'm going to sign off. But join me tomorrow, or not, oh, today's only Wednesday. Join me Friday for FabFit Friday, where I'm going to be introducing you to a project that we're going to be doing out of the Bias Cut Blueprint book. So that would be that's gonna be a fun project. Oh, hi Vicky. All right, so Vicky's asking if I had made my mom a fidget blanket. Here's the interesting thing about my mom. I think my mom knows somewhere in her head that I made her this thing. I made her a snap version, and I made a very elaborate play mat that had pockets and snaps and buckles. She won't use them. So I left them at my mom's at a memory care place, South Farms. It's a very nice place, and I left those things for other people to use because my mother won't use them. But if you search my YouTube channel, I showed how to make the fidget mat. I think I have a video for both of them actually, so I can put links to those videos in the description below if you guys want to make one. I was really hoping she would play with it, because what does she love to do? She loves to take her napkins. We used to go to April Cornell at West Farms Mall, like at least twice a month. We would meet there and go shopping, and we would go to April Cornell. They had beautiful linens, and my dad has all those linens. So what he does is he brings them, and my mom folds them and unfolds them, and she folds them and she unfolds them. So that's what she fidgets with. She likes to fold up her tissues, fold up her linens that my dad brings, then he brings them back. So she's a folder. She's not a fidget player. So anyway, I will put the links to the fidget video in the description below when I get off, though. Caroline says the cord is a very good idea, or good advice. Thank you so much. RT Blade says, thank you. I always learn so much. Thank you. Thank you. Baker says, yes, this is an awesome subject. There are a lot of things that can be done depending on individual needs. And thank you. That is true. It has to be individualized. So that's why I tried to pick a variety of things that could help. I made one with an apron that my father-in-law could wear. That's a cool idea. Maybe I should try making something that's wearable for my mom. Maybe she would fidget with it more. I will tell you that my mother is the sweetest woman on the universe. She never raised her voice. She's always very calm, always very sweet, always very polite. So even now, she does not raise her voice. She does not yell and scream. But when she gets mad, she rips her dresses. So I've actually had to sew up the center front of all of her dresses. And then I had to put a piece of binding where she started ripping it so it can't just re-rip. So that's what she's been doing. And also she likes to take her shirt off. So now what we've been doing is that's another tip, I guess, layers. So like we bought some open neckline tank tops, put that on with big armholes and big neckline, and then put her button-up shirts over it. So if she unbuttons her shirt and takes it off, then she still has the tank top on. So that's another thing we've been doing. Nina says, my mother loved to fold and put away dishes. I think that's what it is. My mom has her master's degree in family consumer science. So she used to iron everything, and she used to love ironing everything. She would even iron my dad's underwear and his, we used to call them hankies, his handkerchiefs. She'd ironed everything, and she ironed her linens, and she was a great lover of buying fabric. She would wash it, iron it, and carefully put it in a closet. And I I used to call it Carol's, I'm sorry. I used to call it Carol's closet because if I was working on a project, I knew I could go into her closet and find these beautiful fabrics she would buy through the years, but she never really sewed so much. I think she got all these grand ideas that she would sew different things, and she'd buy these beautiful fabrics and put them in her closet all nice and sewn, I mean, washed and ready to go. So I would go and go shopping in Carol's closet, and now I have a lot of her, I have all her fabric now. So it's all very dear to me, but she was really into folding things, and I think that's why that's carried on. My dad carries, like how engineers have pocket protectors. Well, my dad fashioned himself an envelope that he coated with tape, and he keeps folded tissues in there. And so my mom always needs a tissue, so he has them in his pocket. He always wears shirts with pockets. He'll take the tissues out, give them to my mom, and my mom will carefully fold them up and unfold them and fold them up. So she does to this day. That's what she does, and my dad does that. So anyway, so that is a special thing for my mom, folding things. So I think that's interesting how life experiences carry on that when something else happens, and now because she isn't, her brain doesn't work like it used to, and so she remembers certain things, though, like she loves to fold things, and she folds things. So it's interesting. But anyway, so if anybody else comes up with other ideas, just post them underneath this video, and anyone watching the replay can read the comments, because I think I put comments on replay so people can see the comments. So if you have other ideas, just put those in there, and then anybody who watches this replay later, whenever they watch it, they can read the comments and find your good ideas as well. So yeah. My grandmother used to fold tissues and stack them. Yep. Yeah, that's exactly what she does. She makes piles. It's amazing what a little simple tissue, the amount of comfort it gives her. Oh, Francis says you're a lovely daughter. Well, I try. I go to my mom, and I go to my mom's every Tuesday and Thursday. I go to South Farms and visit, and then I have a lengthy lunch with my dad. So if you've been following the Cool Tools series that I do Mondays, my dad's fascinated with finding me really cool sewing things, and he buys them for me. So I've been doing videos on the different feet or hem guides or different things he's been finding me. So I have fun with that. He's a woodworker, so he loves any sort of gadget for his craft. So now he's trying to help me in my craft. So it's kind of fun. And I really love the fact that because I have my little small business, I can say, yep, Tuesdays and Thursdays are mom and dad day. That's what I'm doing. And then I spend time with them, and I'm not going to give that up for the world. So that's what I'm doing every Tuesday and Thursday morning through lunch. Oh, your mom is blessed with a very caring husband and daughter. She is. And also, I can't take all the credit because I have a brother and sister who are just as amazing as I am. They do their part as well. So we've got my dad and mom covered the entire week. I'm sorry. Oh, Baker says you're a loving daughter. Thank you, thank you. And Tana says you'll be slashing paper with the rotary cutter. I'll be slashing paper with a rotary cutter. Yes, yes. I will probably. Hopefully by then I will be such a pro that I won't, like cut off other parts of my fingers or whatever. But that's something I can see myself doing forever. Me and my rotary cutter are definitely attached at the hip. All right, so I think this is good. Sorry, I got a little, but thank you guys so much for joining me for this. This was a topic that I wanted to share. I wish I had, if I thought about it, I could have brought some of the things I have adjusted for my mom to show you, but I didn't think about it that hard, so I apologize for that. But definitely check out my newsletter for how to do a keyhole opening in the back, and the links in the description below, especially for this elastic. Oh, Sharpies and magnets. Yep. I have all sorts of things I can be doing. Oh, hi, Sally. I have so loved hearing about your parents. I feel like I know them a little from afar. Oh, they are very, very sweet. I'm very lucky. And actually, I can't take the credit for being a loving daughter because my parents raised me that way. And I keep saying to my dad, Dad, you get what you get, right? They did a good job raising us. That's all I can say. I can't take the credit. Um, but anyway, so DIYer girl missed the session, but you're going to have to go back and watch the replay. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, it was a fun topic. And, I just talked in generality. I didn't show anything super specific, but I just wanted to give ideas. Um, oh, the skirt lady says blessings to you and your family. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. As always, I look forward to my streaming events with you guys. I really love getting together with you guys and just talking about whatever the topic is. That's why I added subscriber Q&A actually. And Friday we will be doing a bias project from the Bias Cuts Blueprint book. So if anyone wants to join me for that, you can join me for that. It's going to be fun. All right, I'm going to sign off now. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Photos on Instagram. Oh, you know what? I have a good idea. I'm going to take all the photos for the, how to do the, are you talking about the photos for the keyhole opening I have in my newsletter? Maybe I'll do it as a story on my Instagram. Is that what you're talking about, Vicki? Because I can put all those, I can put that down as a, actually, you know what? I can make a reel and make it a post on my Instagram. I'll do that. I'll make it so it stays. So I'll put all the steps to sewing a keyhole opening in a back neckline as a reel on my Instagram when I get off as well. So you'll have that there. That's a good idea. I think that's what you're talking about. Yes. Okay. All right. So I'm going to sign off now because I have a bunch of other stuff I have to get done today. It's also granddaughter day, so I'm super excited about that. And I'm going to have to have two babies because I got my new puppy. So I have my puppy Bailey and my granddaughter Cameron this afternoon. So it's going to be a fun afternoon. So anyway, all right, you guys have a great of the altered garments. That's a good idea. I'll take pictures of some things and I'll put them on my Instagram, but I'll also put the steps to do the keyhole opening, which was the big thing that I've altered. That you can see. A lot of the things that I've altered, you really can't tell that I did it because I just deepened an armhole or changed the elastic on pants, but I will show the keyhole opening on my Instagram so you can see how to do that, so you don't have to go digging around for my newsletter if you can't find it. So I can put that there as well. Okay, so I'm going to sign off. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you Friday for FabFit Friday at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. All right, thank you everybody for joining me. This was a fun one. This was a bittersweet fun one. Okay, bye.